Let's see how it goes. It shows starting. Shows we're live. We're starting to get some people in.
Okay.
So David Ahmad is not with us just yet. He's a little behind schedule. But David and I are here, so we're going to start out with that.
Oh, look, I can see me.
Schedule.
Let me do this. Okay. I'm watching the comments. So everybody that's out there, I'm watching comments. So if you have questions or whatever, I believe I will be able to see them. So, however, if takes me a second, there's just kind of forgive me.
Everybody just basically saying hello right now.
Yeah, I'm looking. Rockman, Bobby, King Putin.
Oh, I meant to send back a message to one of my mods.
Lanley. Hey,
Yeah.
make Lanley a mod.
I thought I already did.
Not on this channel. But Adder, Man in Black.
Yeah.
Why aren't you auditing Man in Black? You keep the good auditors out there. Come on, get to work.
All right. Let's see if it shows up that Lang Lee is a mod now. Type something. Yeah, there we go.
There it is.
Lang Lee, I meant to send you a message back. I got your message a while ago, but I got busy with some other stuff.
I will not be going to Rockwall again. I have temporarily had my wings clipped. They are basically they said no more. They did not like me going up there to start with, and apparently the crooked cops up there complained, and
Of course they did.
Yeah, of course they did. So they will not give me travel permit to go up there again. So I'll have all that mess wrapped up by March, and then I'll be back to business as usual. Actually, it won't be business as usual. It's going to be a little different, but I don't want to talk too much about that just yet.
Well, at least we got Jack out from under all his shit. They dropped all his.
Yeah. For all of you that don't know, all of Jack's criminal charges are gone. Almost Park, Leon Valley, everything is dropped and gone.
Yeah. Except for Almost Park police chief refuses to give his stuff back, which is
Yeah, and I linked that the other day. I did a thing here. Let me see if I can.
that's ridiculous.
The chief of police there in Almost Park refuses to give Jack his property that they seized.
But what else can you expect from somebody, a crooked piece of
Well, I mean,
that,
it's
you know.
really simple. If you notice in the video, he's wearing his little blue line gang symbol.
Yeah.
You know, they're all Leon Valley, all the Leon Valley officers, all the Almost Park officers, they're all wearing it. And that should tell you everything you need to know about, what they are.
It's not 100% accurate all the time, but when you are approached by a police officer with that ring or that flag on, you can be pretty sure that it's a good chance that it ain't going to go right.
Yep, that's exactly correct. Somebody's saying that Wolfman's charges were dropped as well.
I don't doubt it. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the other ones are going to.
Well, Wolfman's charges were based on something else. That was that fight, when he was fighting with the bike patrol officers after he was making all those racist remarks and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So I'm surprised that's dropped, but whatever.
I can't believe we're still seeing videos with the cops. I think it was Rogue today did one, where cops are still saying, well, you can shoot the finger, but if anybody sees it but us, they complain, we can arrest you or ticket you.
No, that is not true. Hey, Blind Justice in here?
Hey, Blind
Yeah, there he
Justice.
is. Hey,
Thumbs up, buddy.
I wish I could come to Virginia. Man, I wish I could travel to Virginia. I would already have been there. I would already be there. Need all those tyrants need to be taught. Oh, Alex. Okay, I see. So they dropped his charge for the impeding the doorway over there at Leon Valley is what they did. he still has the other charge, which I think is a felony, if I'm not mistaken, for fighting with the cops, resisting arrest or whatever it was over there with the bike police.
Hey, CJ, if you're out there and listening, you're invited to come in too if you want.
Oh man, I'd love to get CJ in here since he is closer to what's going on than anybody else right now.
Yeah, I had a chat with him a couple of days ago, and we talked about getting together this weekend, but between him and me, it didn't work out very well yet. So hopefully,
hey, Futoy, thank you.
Maybe in near future.
Oh, hold on, I got.
All right, let's see what's going on in here. Oh, the governor should be arrested and indicted for treason. Yes, 100%. HTH. I wish he'd come to Lincoln, Nebraska. That David, okay. You know, I haven't seen much coming out of Nebraska, but I don't doubt that there's problems up there because I have heard that there is some. But then that probably goes with any state, just about any county of any state.
Okay, that was David. He's trying to get into the meeting right now.
Okay. Well, it's been a while since he's been in one.
Yeah, and we all know that he's technologically challenged. So if you guys ever see the phone that he uses, you would be like, call the
flip top.
Yeah, he's still using a flip phone.
Well, I thought about getting a cheap flip phone just for having backup out on the streets.
Oh, here comes somebody.
Well, I could actually have somebody, talking, listening to me while I'm out there. Uncle Monkey, hello. Hey, David.
Your audio is muted, David.
I'm going to unmute him myself. Now,
okay, never mind.
You are unmuted
you have
now.
Audio now.
Speak to me, David. David.
Speak.
Sit on the curb.
Down, boy, down.
Shut up, David. This is America. Only speak when spoken to.
Get my little stand up here where I can.
All right.
Come on.
Let's see. Texas woman does not have any pending charges. No felony charges is pending.
Hey, can y'all hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, I've got to figure out why the hell this camera won't show a damn picture.
We don't need to see your face. What are you talking about?
Oh no, I'm too pretty to be ignored.
Man, I really wish I was able to travel right now. Like I said, I would already be in Virginia. I would already be there. It's all that mess that's going on up there is BS. I'm trying to watch the language, keep it clean.
Hey, David, did you post this on Open Carry Texas that we're going to be on?
Did I what, Steve?
Did you post on Open Carry Texas that we were going to be on? I forgot to.
No, I didn't.
All right.
I've been busy all damn day. Okay, what did that just say?
It said turn your camera on.
Well, the camera's on. That's.
Okay, you have to plug it into the computer. That little square thing plugs into the computer.
Really? Thank you for telling me that.
Did you know you were going to get in with a bunch of smartasses tonight?
I've been in these meetings before. I knew precisely what I was getting at. And y'all have not disappointed.
Well, we'd hate to disappoint.
Okay, I'm going to step away from the mic for a second and see if there's something screwy going on behind the computer.
All right.
Just find the little square thing and plug it in. I'm telling you. That's
well, it should already be plugged in. I just did a video about the event 2 nights ago, and everything worked fine.
Okay. Public Accountability Unit. You know what? I don't doubt that there is going to be some government intervention out there. I do not doubt it at all. Whether it'll be like Kent State or not. The problem with Kent State is that all those students were not armed. And this is a horse of a different color. The government is afraid of people that are armed. That's why they work so hard to take your guns any way they can. So they're going to have a whole bunch of armed people out there. I don't think that they're going to easily, be able to stomp on people's rights. And I can tell you, I have spoken to people in that area, and they're ready to fight. They swear they're ready to fight.
Yeah. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, and probably half of them that said they're ready to fight actually would. But if there's enough people there, it could get ugly really quick.
Or if the government decides this is the time they're going to push it and make something happen.
Yeah.
Hey, let's see. Was it Ratman?
Hey, Carolina, I see you in there in the chat there.
Ratman said something. I lost the chat. It's already gone past, but it said something about he can't believe that almost Park and Leon Valley are still such tyrants. But, well, don't be surprised, because until we can hold them accountable and we can force it, and we can't do that without money, and it takes time. It takes a buttload of time.
Yeah. Because,
2 years in, we're still waiting for the court cases to be over so the lawsuits can happen. Well, now several of them are over, and the lawsuits are on the way. But they'll delay that as long as they can.
Oh, and here comes the crazy woman in the chat. Ah, kill him! She's blocked.
I missed that one.
One of the mods got it. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm going to thank my mods already, because most of my mods have been with me for a long time and know how I like things handled, and they do a pretty good job of it.
Well, I don't know what the problem is. The only thing I can think is that because I joined the meeting with the camera off, for some reason it's not recognizing the camera. How do I jump out and jump right back in?
You sign out, click off and end, and then come back in.
Yeah.
Put that same number in again. That top secret number I sent you.
Okay.
That super classified Fusion Center number.
Okay, well, I'm going to try that. Let's see where. God, it's been so long since I've been in one of these things.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's also a place down on the lower left where it has a camera image and then an arrow, and you can click on that and you can tell it what camera to use. There we go.
Oh, there you are.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Now.
What'd you do?
I did what Steve just said.
All right, raise your camera up a little bit or squat down.
We were just talking.
There we go. There we go. Right there.
Well, I gotta get something to prop it up, and
we were just talking about how you're technologically challenged.
Here's the thing. I'm not technologically challenged. I'm setting my damn ways. I have what I have, and I like what I like, and that's just it. And oh, by the way, in the past 6 months, these have become a feature.
The glasses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hate it when that happens.
Oh, anything past 3 feet, and I'm still just like a damn eagle. I can see all of it. But anything closer than about 3 feet, and
that sucks to get old.
Yeah, it damn sure does. And
all right.
I'm not going to do it gracefully, I can tell you that.
All right, let's get down to business. You asked.
Talk to me.
You asked to come on tonight.
Well, yeah. Dave and I were talking, and he said something about it. I don't remember if I said can I or he said would you, but yeah.
Well, it really doesn't matter. Whatever, you know.
Hey, Steve,
yeah.
And be sure and record this.
Okay.
Okay. Or
it'll be recorded on. It's going to be recorded on the channel because we're live.
Okay. All right. Good deal.
Hey, are both of y'all going to put this on y'all's channels?
Yeah, we're live right now on my channel, and David will post it later on his.
Okay,
Yes.
very good, very
He'll
good.
probably edit some of the slower stuff out of it and get down to the nitty gritty.
Well,
But
no, I'm just gonna take the swear words out so my grandkids can watch them, because when he gets excited, that guy down
Yeah.
there, when he gets wound up, the kind of language he uses.
yeah,
So
yeah. Well, we try to keep that down as much as we can because I really
You're
like the
talking
Fort.
about me,
Yeah.
the altar boy.
But when you're talking about something that you're excited about or upset about or whatever words you want to use, it's sometimes not easy to leave the swear words out. So we do our best.
Swear words are kind of like salt and pepper. You use them when they're needed to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish, but you don't sprinkle it on there just because, or at least I don't. There's some people that use that. They talk like that just day in and day out. I don't. I cuss when I ought to cuss.
Well, I've always kind of figured that. Well, for years I was saying, well, who decided on what a swear word was or how they do it? And I decided that a swear word was decided when if you're mad and that word makes you feel better, then that's a swear word.
Hey, I don't want to get off on too big of a side note, but I actually read about a scientific study that they did about people who cussed a lot, and they hooked some kind of machine up to them, CAT scan or whatever the hell they do to measure brainwaves, and they found that if somebody who smashes their thumb and normally would cuss, those people, when they cuss or punch something or whatever, it has an actual physical effect of lessening the pain on them.
Yeah.
And the other people who didn't do that, well, it had no effect on them at all. They could cuss all they wanted, and it didn't help. But for the people who were inclined to do it, they did it because it actually helps. And I've always wondered about that, because if I would rather break my arm than get a paper cut. I don't mind pain. I can't stand sting. I don't mind a car wreck, but I can't stand a little bitty ouch. It irritates me. And especially something on my head. If I hit my head on something, I have to really control myself not to turn around and smash whatever I just hit my head on. And I'd wondered for years, why in the world do I have that kind of a reaction to it? Well, I started paying attention, and a couple of times I went ahead and smashed whatever, and I'll be damned if it didn't make my head stop hurting.
Hey, Vern, yes, passionate. That was the word I was looking for.
all right, so let's get on topic.
Let's get to the 2A Virginia.
So we're going to chat about this mess that they've got going in Virginia. And for those that don't know, the Democrats have taken over in the House there, and basically immediately went to creating unconstitutional gun laws. And a lot of the law enforcement in the state has vowed to not support or enforce any unconstitutional laws. And they have actually gone so far as to say that they are going to create Second Amendment safe zones. Whole counties, they would just declare them safe zones for the Second Amendment. And that has not gone over well with their governor or these crooked politicians. I'm sorry, not crooked. Tyrant politicians.
Crooked tyrant politicians. It all works.
That's better.
It has not gone well with them that these law enforcement and other state officials are not, going along with what they've mandated. And it is escalating rapidly.
And if you look at the map of the counties that are putting in that are against this 2A laws, that are saying we're putting in a safe area, safe county, whatever, that is almost the whole damn state, almost every county.
It's about 90%.
It's just a few counties, and those are where the major cities are.
That's right.
Well, we've always had a problem with these large cities creating laws that were unconstitutional, and we could never get them into courts. And so places like Chicago and New York City and Washington, D.C., you couldn't protect yourself. The only people that had guns were criminals, whether they had a badge and a gun or a mask and a gun. Only the criminals had guns. And so you were unable to defend yourself. Well, as we finally managed to get them into court, now gun ownership in Washington, D.C. is becoming the norm. Chicago, New York City, all their unconstitutional gun laws are getting struck down. Not fast enough, but it is happening.
That's right.
Maybe that's why Bloomberg's going so damn hard on Virginia, because he's starting to lose in other areas. He is such an ass. Anyway.
Yes, he is.
I could use better words, but more descriptive words, but I'll be nice.
Well,
but it's hard to find more accurate words. He's listen. I'll describe Mike Bloomberg right now, and y'all can broadcast this and tell him I said so. Give the bastard my phone number if you can. I'd really like to say this as close to his face as I could get. He is an un-American son of a bitch.
He's too chicky chit to talk to you.
That little bastard, if he got within 100 miles of me, he'd piss his pants.
Freedom scares them. Freedom scares them.
Yes, it does. But as we talk more about Mike Bloomberg, I'll share a little something with you. But anyway, go ahead, Steve.
Let's go back to David.
I was just going to say, when Donald Trump called me this afternoon, he was not happy with Bloomberg either. So just so you know. You're not the only one that feels that way.
Well, tell Donnie I said, how you doing? And get rid of that fucking bump stock ban.
Yeah.
Before I put you in the same category with Bloomberg.
Yeah, I'm not happy with him either. I never really trusted him, but he was the least of the evils there. Anyway, we get away from politics, that kind of politics.
Well, unfortunately, that's the kind of elections we've been having. You have to pick the lesser of the two or three evils.
And it's been that way almost my whole life. I think
it has not been that way my whole life. It has not been that way, but it has come to it, in the last 20 years. Yep. I mean, honestly, and I'm not bashing Trump, and I'm not bashing anybody except for Hillary and Obama, but that's another story. We just have not had a good presidential prospect.
Well, stop and think about it, David. Washington is one big fat whorehouse at low tide. It's a nest of scheming bastards. Now, name one honest, decent man that that would want to go and work in that.
I keep getting people telling me I need to run for president. They want me to see me president. I said they'd kill me in a week.
I've had people tell me that too, and the bottom line is the only thing that I would do in Washington, D.C. is clear the place out. There's no easy way to say it. After the Citizens United decision, our government and every single elected office in it is absolutely up for sale. And so, it was bad before. It's really bad now. And I mean, that's just the way that it is. The only people that want to get involved in that giant nest are crooked bastards. That's it. That's the only kind of people that want to go get involved in that shit. The Michael Bloombergs and the Nancy Pelosi's, the power-hungry, corrupt, un-American bastards. That's the type of people that are attracted to it. Regular, decent guys like us, God Almighty, I don't want any part of that shit.
Yeah, no honest.
I'll go up there and kick ass, but I would not go want to work as a legislator.
No honest, person would want to be surrounded by that kind of trash.
Exactly.
Well, and so what are our options? To me, it's really simple. When it comes to the Second Amendment, people argue about this all the time, but the Second Amendment is the most strongly worded amendment that there is. And it says very clearly the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It's very simple to understand. It's very plainly written. That's shall right. Not. Which part of shall not do you understand? And it doesn't say except for felons, and it doesn't say except for whoever. Okay? Shall not be infringed. And until we can get that message across to Washington, D.C. and all these politicians that want to take your rights from you, because the more people they can disarm, the better off they are, the safer they are when they're doing wrong. We used to execute crooked politicians in this country, and as soon as the politicians got enough power, one of the first things they did was to outlaw executing crooked politicians. That should tell you something.
Yep.
Sorry, I'll get off my soapbox.
Well, I can explain it to you about the whole problem with the Second Amendment. It's not a case of, okay, first off, I need to define a term that I'm going to use over and over. The term is gun hater. These anti-gun people, they're not common sense gun control advocates. No, that's not what they are. They are gun haters. They just hate guns, and for the most part, they can't really explain why. It's just, well, guns are bad. Don't you know that? So they are not common sense anything. They're gun haters. Now that we've established that, the problem with the gun haters is not that they don't know what the Second Amendment says. They know damn good and well what the Second Amendment says. The problem with the gun haters is that they just don't like what the Second Amendment says. And so they try to find ways to wiggle out of having to respect what the Second Amendment says. It is literally no different than racism against black people in the 1950s. In the 1950s, every black person that was alive had precisely the same rights as every black person who's alive right now. The problem is not that they didn't have the rights. The problem is that their rights were not respected because a whole bunch of people didn't want to respect their rights. And that's it in a nutshell. The gun haters know what the Second Amendment says. They know what the Second Amendment means. They just don't approve of it. And so they don't want to honor it. That's the root of the problem here. And at some point in time, we, the real Americans, are going to have to tell these un-American bastards, look, you're going to honor it and you're going to respect it. We'd appreciate it if you do that peacefully, but if we have to beat your ass into submission to get you to honor our rights, then we will. At some point.
And that's what they gave us the Second Amendment for.
Precisely.
Exactly.
Well, so what I'm trying to say is at some point, if we're going to keep the Second Amendment, we're going to have to use the Second Amendment.
Well, I'm afraid they're going to force us into it. And I hope, and I still hope that there's some way around it. But it just looks more and more like there's not, that we're going to have to use the Second Amendment to take back the Second Amendment and the First Amendment and everything else that they're attacking.
That's what it amounts to.
Well, and people are saying, well, drag them into court. Drag them into court.
Well,
the problem with that is, who runs the courts?
Exactly.
Look, the court, here's the deal. Remember this little something, folks. The judicial branch of the government, that means the courts and all the judges, is a part of the government.
Yep.
So if you have a problem with the government and you take them to court, you are complaining to the same thing that you have a problem with. You are essentially asking the government to discipline itself. Now, how likely do you think that is to happen?
Well, and we see this throughout the government. Look at the police departments investigating themselves to find that they did nothing wrong. It's all the same stuff. And all these federal judges, they all start out as federal prosecutors. And then you cannot find somebody sitting on the Supreme Court that wasn't a federal judge, that wasn't a federal prosecutor, in the pocket of the cops.
Right. So when they want to violate your rights, the legislative or executive branch of the government goes to the judicial branch of the government and says, hey, would you please put your rubber stamp of approval on this bullshit we want to pull to give it some screen cover of legitimacy? And that's what happened.
Hey, what is that idiot governor's name? I keep forgetting his name.
Northam.
All right.
And I will call him Mr. Northam. I refuse to call the son of a bitch governor until he starts acting like one.
I don't even know if I'd put Mr. on front of it.
Yeah, I've just been calling him Dickless. Everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Well, didn't he declare a state of emergency for the capital area?
Yes.
To keep the protesters and armed citizens out of that area?
He declared I think 4-day state of emergency to prohibit guns or any weapons of any kind on the Capitol grounds. And he used some vague, unidentified, credible threats as the excuse to do it. Well, bullshit. Here's what's really going on. As we all know, the gun control agenda, everything the gun control people want to do, is based on fear and the lies that prop up that fear. And the sight, just a picture of thousands or maybe tens of thousands of regular old Americans, not soldiers, not cops, just citizens, walking around the Capitol with their guns out, everyone with 1, 2, or 3 guns on, thousands of these people, and the world doesn't come to an end like the gun haters always claim is going to happen. That, just the mere picture of that, absolutely shatters the hell out of their lies and their fear and the lies that support it. It blows their argument out of the water, and that is what that governor just can't allow to happen, and that's what this whole state of emergency is about. It doesn't have a damn thing to do with any kind of threat. Are there probably a few crazies that are going to head to Virginia? Of course. There's one in every crowd. But this idea that the next Osama bin Laden and all of Al-Qaeda is going to show up and overthrow the government up there, it's just a bunch of horse shit. It is a manufactured excuse to prevent the gun people from making their point.
Well, we've proven
by walking around in public with their guns and nothing bad happens.
We've proven it. Here in Texas, the first open carry event with CJ, remember that? They said, that's going to be violence. All the protesters, a bunch of them are going to start shooting, and nothing happened.
Right.
When we went to Almost Park with 500-600 people, whatever it was.
Over 600, Steve.
There was people.
That's an infantry battalion.
Yeah, well,
that's an infantry battalion.
There was so many of our idiots out there commenting, "Oh God, it's going to be, the shit's going to hit the fan. Everybody's going to start shooting." No, the only way that there was going to be any shooting was if it was started by the police officers there in Almost Park, and that's why they were probably told by whoever to get the hell out of town because we don't want anything to start. And the police that were there was from San Antonio, and nothing happened. Everybody behaved themselves. There wasn't even an argument that I saw.
Nothing has. Open Carry, Texas has had over 2,000 different events. Big rallies, small walks, whatever. 2,000 different events with regular people carrying their guns, and not once has there been a problem. And that Mr. Northam knows it. He knows damn good and well. He's seen the FBI statistics that say that folks who have a license to carry a handgun obey the law more than the police do. The cops break the law more than the law-abiding gun owners do. He knows all of this. None of this state of emergency and weapons ban, none of it was based on any kind of actual safety issue or anything else. It was a political move to try and keep the pro-gun people from being able to simply show the world the picture of several thousand armed people and the sky doesn't fall.
Well,
like the gun haters always claim is going to happen. That's all that was. It was political horse shit.
Let's get down to a little bit more about Virginia. Pretty much, and I bet both of y'all know the laws more than I do. I read some of them. In fact, I think I read through all of them a little, all the way. But my memory is very sucky right now. I'll just put it that way. But this basically right here is about the only thing that's going to be legal.
Welcome to old age, Steve.
Yeah. This right here is about the only thing that's going to be legal.
No,
and
actually,
I'm not even,
they're banning those.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not even sure about this.
If the gun haters, let's just boil it down to the bottom line. What these people want is literally the destruction and extinction of every single firearm of any type in the entire country, from Minnesota to Texas and New York to California. They want every single solitary gun in the whole nation thrown into the ocean. They want them out of existence. That's their goal. Now, they won't come right out and say that most of the time. Beto came pretty close, and you saw what happened to him. Yeah. But if you know how to listen to them, they tell you what they're really all about.
Oh yeah.
They tell you what they really want. All you have to do is just read between the lines, and they don't really hide it very well. They're just anyway, that's what they want, and everybody that can see it does see it. So that's their end goal. The problem is they can't do it all at once, because if they do, there's going to be a problem. There will be another American Revolution over that if they tried to do it all at once. So they have to do it 1 inch at a time. You know how a sniper sneaks across an open field?
1 inch at a time.
1 inch at a time. And he does it very slowly, and he does it very quietly. And before you know it, he's right on top of your ass and putting holes in you. They are employing precisely the same tactic.
Well, but they know they can't just walk in and take them overnight. That would just absolutely lead to war. But
right,
it's coming everywhere. It's not just happening in Virginia. That's just where it's starting. It's coming to Texas. It's coming to well, it's already in California. They may as well just cut that place off and push it out in the open. But all these places where we holler about freedom and how much freedom we have, it's coming. And so you got to make a decision, a conscious decision. Are you willing to stand up and fight or not? Because if you're not, then kiss your guns goodbye. But yes, you'll get to keep that 60-inch TV and your $900 cell phone and your $45,000 F-250, and you'll get to keep all that, but you're not going to have your freedom.
That's exactly right. I want to make a request of the whole world right now. If you're not willing, as a last resort, because that's when I'll do it, I'll exhaust every other option first. But as a last resort, yes, I damn sure will take my guns, go out in the street, and fight the government. I don't want to. I'm not looking for an excuse. But if my options are fight or lose my freedoms, lose my rights, then I'm going to fight. And I'm proud to say that publicly. I'll say that to literally anyone's face. If you are not willing to do the same thing, then don't claim that you are. Don't come to rallies. Don't go to open carry walks. Don't get involved if you're not willing to go all the way, because if the what hits the fan, we're going to need people that we can count on. We're not going to need a bunch of people that will cut and run. My dad served 3 tours in Vietnam, and there was a joke about South Vietnamese soldiers and their rifles. Everybody except the airborne. The airborne guys you didn't joke about because they were real. But the deal was that Dad used to say that he would trade you an Arvin rifle. It's never been fired and only dropped once, because those guys had a reputation for running. Yeah. If you're going to be the guy that cuts and runs, stay home and just shut up right now. Get out of the movement if you're not serious about it. It's very simple. Now, again, I'm not saying be a troublemaker. I'm not a troublemaker. I don't want to do any of this. I'm just willing to as a last resort. If you're not willing to as a last resort, then please just turn on The Simpsons, grab a bag of Cheetos, sit there on your couch and watch TV, but stay out of the gun rights movement, because we only need people that we can count on.
Amen. Hey, Mod.
Thank you.
There's people posting questions in the chat asking who all is here. So for those of you that don't know, I'm News Now Houston. I've got the News Now Houston channel. That is my employer, News Now Houston. My name is David Warden, and we have PMP News. That's Steve, the guy with the fish in the background, trying to give himself low blood pressure. And in the lower part of your screen, if your screen's set up like mine, is David Ahmed of Open Carry Texas, a very strong proponent for our Second Amendment rights.
Yeah, and I want to touch on something about Virginia. Even those counties that have just said, we're not going to put up with this, the sheriffs and whoever is going to be a safe area, do not believe that a bad cop won't use those laws against you if he doesn't get his butt kissed. Because he will. We see it all the time.
Well, that's a distinct possibility, but I want to say something about that too. If you look at the Appalachian Mountain Range, it runs from the foothills of it are in the top part of Georgia and Alabama, right in that corner, and it runs all the way up into New York State, and I think it goes even further through Pennsylvania and all of that. Well, it cuts through the western part of the Carolinas and Virginia and the eastern part of Tennessee and Kentucky, and then it keeps on going north. My dad is from about an hour north of Knoxville, Tennessee, I've spent my summers in those mountains with all those hillbillies, and there's one thing I can tell you about those folks. You remember how things supposedly used to be way back in the day, where men said what they meant and they meant what they said, and nobody was a bullshit artist. A handshake and a man's word was all you needed, and all of that. Well, that's gone away in a whole bunch of the country, but that's the way things still work there. And when that sheriff said that he would deputize every son of a bitch in his county, he meant it.
Yep.
He absolutely meant that he would do that. When those mountain men say to you, "You will not take my guns," they mean you're not going to take their guns, and they'll do whatever it is that they have to do to make that come to pass. And I don't think that Mr. Northam understood that when he and his Bloomberg purchased legislature decided they were going to introduce all of this gun control. I don't think he reckoned on that. I really don't think that he anticipated that 90% of the local governments would tell him to kiss their ass.
Yeah. And make no mistake, that's what they said. They
Well,
may not have
make
used
no
those
mistake
words,
about-
but that's what they said.
That's exactly right. And make no mistake about something else. He can call out the National Guard. He can call the United States Army. He can call Jesus and all the archangels. Those mountain men will fight everybody. They will not give up their guns. And here's something else. When the Bundy Ranch happened, several hundred people showed up out there. If what Mr. Northam wants to do begins to come to pass, several 100,000, possibly several million real Americans will show up in Virginia and just simply kick his ass. And that's the way it will go down. Again, I want to make it clear, that's not what I'm after. That's not what I want. What I want is for the government to simply respect my rights, whether they personally like it or not. It's that simple. I don't care if you hate my gun rights. Fine, hate them all day long. Just respect them and leave me alone.
But that's not what government does. See, government accumulates power, okay? And once they have a little bit of power, they need more. They need more. They need more. And so what do? Let's just imagine for a minute that we're the government. Well, the first thing I want to do, if I'm the government, is to determine who is a threat, the number one threat to my power base.
Not to the country, not to the security of the nation, but to your power base.
Who's going to take my power from me?
Exactly.
Okay. Who would be the first ones to fight? And the answer to me is felons, because they're on the lower part of the totem pole. They are the people that get picked on. They can't get good jobs. These are the people that founded this country. This is what gets me is the founding fathers were all convicted felons. They had been tried in absentia in England as traitors and sentenced to death. Every one of them. Every one of them.
Wow, what happened here? We had hundreds of people watching. All of a sudden, there's only 12. It's like something happened to the live stream or something?
No, it's still live. I'm looking at it. You're probably just not getting the updated algorithm. But so that's what they do. That's what the Gun Control Act in 1968 was about. Okay, they preached, Congress and all these people preached about, oh, we've got to cut down on the number of assassinations, and what we're going to do that is we're going to make it where you have to sign a piece of paper saying that you're not a criminal to get guns. And by the way, all the assassins, Martin Luther King, JFK, RFK, Malcolm X, the people that shot these people, not a one of them was a convicted felon. Not one of them. But so they said that, okay, so we're going to make it where you got to sign a piece of paper to get a gun, and felons can't have guns. Okay, there was absolutely nothing to back up, for reasoning to deny felons access to firearms. We have a system in place, have had for years, to control felons with firearms. It's called probation, prison, parole. If you're involved in any of those three things, the government takes your gun rights, because you're signing up for a contract basically if you're on probation or parole. But other than that, there's no reason. There's absolutely no reason. Okay, I'm off the soapbox. Go ahead, David.
I was just waiting for a question.
Well, it's just a start. Okay, so they start with the Gun Control Act of 1968. They create a category of people that they're going to say, we're going to infringe on their rights. Okay, and by the way, it's been decided in court. It went to the Supreme Court, and people were fighting to get their gun rights back, and the Supreme Court said that the government had to create a way for convicted felons to get their gun rights back. And you know what Congress said?
Well,
we're not going to fund it. We're not going to fund it. You got that? That's fine. You got that ruling, but we're not going to fund it.
Right. If I remember right, there is technically a process to do it. There's just no one in the government to do the process with.
Yeah.
Correct. So you can probably download a form somewhere and fill it out, but there's no office to turn it into. It's literally like doing away with the driver's license office and still requiring people to get a driver's license.
Well, and this is what's part of what I'm preaching about is it's time to take those rights back. If they won't give them to you, even when their own courts say that you got to get them, what's left? You have nothing left but to physically fight.
But they got the same mentality with everything.
Right.
It's not that you have those rights. It's just we have to let you have those rights. Well, no, we have those rights the day we're born, and you don't get to give them to anything to us.
Yeah. We talk about the Bill of Rights and the Constitution and stuff. That's just the founding fathers writing down our God-given rights,
recognizing that we already have them. That's it.
Yes, that's it.
It's just a list where those things are written down. It is not the source.
Right.
Every man, woman, and child to a degree, has a right to be able to defend themselves and defend their home and their property. That's a God-given right.
That's right.
And the government has no authority to infringe on it.
And if you don't believe in God, it's just a natural right. It's there. Yeah. That's all there is to it. It's there.
And by the way, that's all of the branches of government, not just the legislative branch and the executive branch. The judicial branch also has absolutely no authority to limit rights. That's what really chaps my ass about a lot of this. When I see these anti-gun court rulings that don't interpret the Constitution, they just ignore it, and they substitute what the judge personally just wishes the Constitution said and bases his ruling on that. It really, to put it bluntly, that is treason. Because what he's doing is he's exercising authority that he does not have at all. And in exercising that authority, he, the judge, is stomping on people's constitutional rights. And that's something folks have to remember. A judge, the Constitution says what it says, and it means what it means. It does not say and mean what some judge tells us it says and means. Those judges are bound by the Constitution the same as everybody else, and they do not have the authority to ignore it or to change what it says or means simply by redefining a word or coming up with some legalistic horseshit justification to make a ruling that they personally want to make.
Or like we see a lot of times in our public buildings, in our public employees. Well, we have a rule here. You can't do that. You can't have a camera here. Yes, we can. We have the right to watch you. We have the right to check up on you. And because you posted some stupid piece of paper on the front window saying no cameras, doesn't mean that we can't have a camera.
Exactly. And it doesn't mean that some judge can put his stamp of approval on it and magically your piece of paper all of a sudden has authority. No.
And I don't like what you say, so you can't say it, or I'll put your butt in jail. No, it doesn't work that way.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, and when they do this, when the judges abuse their authority, the authority that we have given them over us, when they abuse that authority, there are no consequences because you can't sue them. You can't do anything to them.
Especially to a judge. It's almost impossible to get a hold of a judge and get them kicked out. The only way they get kicked out is if they piss off the other judges that are judging them.
Above them.
the judicial review board, but guess what? It's more of the police's
Yeah,
thing.
exactly. It's the
We
same thing.
investigated ourselves and found we did no wrong.
Yeah.
Right. You're asking judges to pass judgment on other judges, people that they work with, their work buddies.
Yeah.
Do you really think you're going to get a fair shake there?
Yeah,
That's
police
the
department.
problem with it.
We decided, we investigated ourselves, and I know he shot the guy 14 times. He had to put 2 clips in it, but he was scared. He was defending himself. It doesn't matter if he didn't have a gun or a weapon.
That's a lot of what it comes down to.
He was breathing.
Yeah. The police officer was scared. He didn't like the way he was looked at. It scared the hell out of him.
Yeah.
So before I forget about it, I want to tell everyone. By the way, Steve, did the viewers come back, or what's the deal
Yeah, it
with
said
that?
12, then it said 212. Now it says 315, 314. It's people are showing me all kinds of different numbers up there. So something was just
David, be sure
glitchy.
and plug the OCT rally.
Yeah, that's what I was about to do. So the Virginia rally is happening tomorrow on the 20th in Richmond. We've got Open Carry Texas has got, and I really don't have a firm number on how many people of ours went, but there's a bunch of them that are up there. But the vast majority of people just can't go. They can't take time off and go to Virginia for 3 or 4 days. So this coming Saturday, that's January the 25th at 1 o'clock in the afternoon from 1 to 3 in Wooldridge Park, Wooldridge, Wooldridge Park in Austin. Open Carry Texas is having a rally. And the point of this rally is to do 2 things. Number 1, we want to support the guys in Virginia and make sure they understand they're not alone. And if this goes south, there will be people that show up from other places to help them and support them. The other point of this rally, and probably the most important to me, is to let the politicians of Texas know that there will not be a damn repeat performance of what's going on in Virginia right now. There simply will not be that. I don't give a damn how many elections they win, how many offices they take. I don't care how many court rulings they can get in one way or another. I don't care how many judges they can get to ignore the Constitution and simply substitute their political agenda. I will never give up my guns, and I'm going to do everything that I can to organize every real American here in Texas to stand up and tell these people, first we'll fight you politically, then we'll fight you with lawsuits, but if we have to, we will fight you in the streets and we'll win, and then you'll pay the price for what you've done. So just don't try it here. The beginning of that is the 25th at 1 o'clock in Wooldridge Park.
Hey,
so if you haven't heard about that rally and you can get there, by all means, go.
I can't go financially. I just can't go. But if there's anybody, David, if you know anybody in the local area that's coming through San Antonio area, I will donate some 30-round mags and some 223 ammo they can take with them.
You know, I haven't talked to Todd and Jack yet. I'm going to give them a call and let them know about it. Get them to say something about it on their channels too. Now, this rally was on very short notice. We only announced it about a week ago. So if it's not that big, that's fine. We want everybody there that can be there, but I don't expect there to be thousands of people. However, Open Carry Texas is going to start hosting every year 2 rallies, regularly scheduled, one in the spring, one in the fall. And we're going to do that on a regularly scheduled basis. So everybody knows months in advance. They've got plenty of time to take off from work or save up some gas money or whatever it is they need to do to be able to be there. Twice a year, we're going to get together in Austin and make sure that our politicians understand that there's a few things they're not going to do, even if they want to.
All right, David, can you give out the dates again slowly for Virginia and for here?
For Virginia is tomorrow,
All right,
January the 20th. For the rally in Austin, it's on January the 25th. That's this coming Saturday at 1 o'clock in Wooldridge Park. That's spelled Wooldridge, Wooldridge. If you look on the map in Austin and find the state capitol, go about 2 blocks south and about 2 blocks west, and it's this little open area park. in the middle of town, just south and west from the Capitol. And that's where we're going to have the rally. And right after that rally, we're going to announce the date for the spring rally. It's probably going to be in late March, early April. It's going to be, I know spring break goes on right about that time. We're going to have it before Easter, that's for sure. And then there'll be one in the fall, late October, early November. We're doing that mainly because of the weather. We want to do it at a time of the year when you can't fry an egg on the sidewalk, because we have a lot of folks that are heat sensitive, and when it's 100 degrees outside, they can't get out in it for hours. So
yeah, well,
we're also gonna stop having rallies and walks at the drop of a hat. We've got to get things a little more organized. We've got to be more prudent in the way we expend our political capital. One of the mistakes we made in the past was we were just going 90 miles an hour, and frankly, we wore a lot of people out. We used to have a lot of members that were active, but I mean, damn, we were doing something every 3 or 4 weeks, and it burned people out. Yeah. We're not going to make that same mistake again. We're gonna do something ever so often just to keep people engaged. We're going to start cranking out a lot of videos, probably one a week, just to keep people informed, keep people engaged. But we're going to start concentrating on the legislative end of things here. The real answer to all of this is to get good pro-gun laws passed. And so we're going to build up our political power, and then we're going to use that political power. That's the game plan going forward.
Yeah, sounds good. I think we've talked about that a little while back about getting a little bit more organized with that and giving people a little bit more time.
Right. Well, we have to.
Yeah.
We can't just keep. We used to have rallies and walks at the drop of a hat. I mean, some guy over here would get out of line, and the next thing you know, we're there. Now, don't misunderstand me. When a serious issue comes up that needs attention, yes, we'll do what has to be done when it has to be done. But this bouncing off the walls, just going like a bat out of hell all the time, it's just not a good way to run an organization.
Well, yeah, but that's true. But when y'all first started, there was so much going on. There were so many tyrants out there abusing the Second Amendment and the laws that it was just like, anytime you get a new organization and you get all this energy together, you're going to be hitting the streets hard, especially when you've got so much going on. But a lot of that is slacking off a little bit. There's not as many of those incidents happening anymore. So now is a good time to get reorganized and get it all figured out, as you described.
Well, you're right. You're right about that. There's a lot of stuff that, for example,
it's not won yet, but it's getting better here, at least right now.
You're right. Exactly. And I'll give you an example. When Open Carry Texas first started, I firmly believe that the vast majority of police officers in the state really did not know about 3802. I think they really thought that you had to identify yourself to them just because they were a police officer. And I think they got that from the academy and their training sergeant, and it was basically just a legend that kind of got passed down. And
yeah, because they wouldn't bother to read it.
Well, right. Well, that's another problem. Why aren't cops required to know the damn laws that they're enforcing? But anyway, we can talk about that in a second. The point is, very quickly, the word got around, hey, wait a minute. It doesn't work that way. If these people aren't under arrest, they actually don't have to tell us a damn thing. And so we hardly ever run into that problem anymore. Once in a blue moon, but it's almost never.
Oh no, we see it all the time still. Yeah.
Here in Texas.
Yeah.
Here in Texas, absolutely. And they've had and T-Cole put out updated training on that to make sure that every officer knew. And it's like they don't read it. It's just like
with cameras.
Click, 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 click. Okay, done with the test. And then they forget anything that was on there. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, some of those aren't even tests, though. They just got to watch a video. They don't have to pass a test. And they can sleep through the damn thing.
I've heard about guys having their wife go through it and watch it online and things like that.
It just shows you were there. It doesn't show you were paying attention.
Okay, James
Right.
Barnes. Yeah, it's unbelievable the stuff that they do, and a lot of it's just videos that they watch.
Right. So, but there were a whole lot of misconceptions about guns that have been straightened out. I remember a guy named Kevin Neighbors did a video down in Brazoria County. He was just doing an open carry walk by himself, and a Brazoria County sheriff's deputy came up to him along with I think a Pearland City police officer. And the Pearland officer didn't say too much, but the Brazoria County deputy just insisted that he could walk around with his rifle, but state law said it had to be unloaded.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Now it took it took a good 20 minutes or so to get it straightened out. Now, to be fair to that deputy, when it was all over with, he did it right. He admitted he was wrong, shook Kevin's hand, and let him go on his way. He wasn't a jackass.
Yeah, but we don't. Most of them aren't that way. They will just sit there and swear that they know what it is, and they've never even read it, and arrest you for it, and not care that you just missed work or got fired or it cost you $1,000 or whatever.
Right. Well, when we come up against stuff like that, we'll address it. Yeah. But there's a whole lot. There's a lot of that that's gone away. Yeah. And the point is, we're not going to go have a walk just because some officer somewhere got rude with somebody. We just can't do that. Now, if local people there want to get together and do it, that's fine. We're not opposed to it, but I can't tell you. I'll bet I put 20,000 miles on my truck driving. I know every back road east of Fredericksburg. I mean, I was going all over the place. CJ put something. I forget how many. It was like 90,000 miles. It was some ridiculous. It was like a truck driver mileage.
When I was traveling to do First Amendment audits and stuff, I was doing 100,000 miles a year.
I don't doubt it. No, well, they did. He wore his minivan out doing that kind of stuff, and there's nothing wrong with doing it, but strategically, it's just not a good way to do business. You want to you don't want to get involved in little bitty brush fires. You don't want to have skirmishes. You want to have big battles that you can win and actually gain some ground. And that's what we're going to concentrate on. We're going to raise people, and we're going to raise money, and we're going to attack this thing politically, with the ultimate goal being complete recognition of Second Amendment rights here in Texas. And that means constitutional carry. That means as long as you are a decent law-abiding citizen, you get to carry your gun, and nobody can tell you otherwise. And end of story. And we have, and I forget how many it is, 14 or so. It's damn near a third of the country that already has that. And where's the bloodbath? Yeah. Where is the catastrophe that the gun haters always say is going to happen? And they've been pulling this crap forever. And it really, frankly, it pisses me off because it's so obvious that it's a concocted damn lie, and they just keep up with it.
It's just fear mongering.
That's all of the world it is. It's fear mongering. And they started that crap when we first got the concealed carry law passed in 95, I believe. It's going to take us back to the days of the Wild West and all of that shit. And then when the Texas Motorist Protection Act got passed, they started talking about how every criminal in the world is going to start carrying their guns, like the criminals weren't already carrying their guns. That somehow allowing the good people to carry guns was gonna be a green light to all the bad people, because the bad people up until then had been refraining. I mean, really, have you ever thought, who in their right mind thinks that a criminal is going to say, I'd like to go rob that bank or jack that car?
But it's against the law to have a gun.
But damn the luck, the law says that I can't carry a gun, so I guess I just can't go do my bad deeds. Does anybody really think criminals say that or think that or do that? No. So, and when we got the Texas Motorist Protection Act passed, they started yelling the same shit. And then, boy, they really started raising hell over open carry. Now think about this. Literally, the only thing that was going to change was that the gun would be visible. You still had to have the license. You still couldn't take it in all the same places. That nothing was going to change except now in the summertime here in Texas, where it's hotter than hell. We are above 80 degrees down here in Houston for about 7 or 8 months out of the year. It's hot down here. It's hard to conceal a pistol. And that was the only thing that was going to change, was instead of you can see the gun or you can't see the gun, now you can see the gun. Well, that was their problem with it. Because if people started walking around with their guns visible, eventually the sight of a gun was going to become normal, which meant guns were going to become normal, which meant the bullshit fear and the damn lies that propped it up were going to shatter. And that's what they just couldn't have that happen. It's exactly the same reason that son of a bitch in Virginia declared his state of emergency. If they allow the truth to come out, their entire position just evaporates. And that's why Moms Demand Action fought so hard against simple open carry. Not anything else except pick your T-shirt up over the gun and tuck it in behind the gun. That's all it was. And they just raised hell and said the world was going to come to an end. The sky was going to fall, hellfire and brimstone if they passed that law. Well, they did. Where's the catastrophe?
Yeah, Vern says, Wild Wild West. Yes, please. There was a video I watched a while back. There was a guy on a motorcycle. I believe, I don't remember, I think he was open carrying. I think that's why the police saw it. And it's not from this state, it was from another state. But their law was you could conceal carry without a license, but you couldn't open carry without a license. And they're talking about handguns. All right. And
what state?
I don't know. I can't remember what state it was now. And it's an older video, but I saw it again a few months ago. And they gave the same stupid arguments. All right. In one state, you can carry it concealed, and that's okay because people can't see it. But up there, it's, no, well, people can't see it, so that's why you have to have a license to conceal carry, because people can't see it, and it's dangerous. It's like, I think that blows away both arguments.
It does. But you know what really pisses me off is when they say, well, we don't want the gun to be visible for safety purposes. Bullshit. It's got nothing to do with safety. If you're unsafe with it visible, you're unsafe with it concealed. And if you're safe with it visible, you're safe with it concealed. That's not your problem, Mr. and Mrs. Gun Hater. Your problem with it is it had nothing to do with safety. It was about keeping your bullshit argument intact. Yep. Because if you allow the truth to come out that a good guy with a gun is nothing to be afraid of, their entire position just melts. It makes them look like the fools that they are, and they can't allow that to happen, or else Michael Bloomberg won't write them another $50 million check.
Yeah.
Well, and it's really simple. You're talking about criminals with guns. I think that the average person, and this includes me, would support heavier sentences for people who misuse firearms in the course of committing crimes.
Absolutely.
I have no issue with that.
And some places do have
no
that.
issue with that. Yeah.
Well, it's I think the legal term they use is they call it an enhancement. It's kind of like a hate crime. If you beat somebody up, that's one thing, but if you beat them up because you're discriminating against them, well, that's somehow worse. And that's an enhancement, and that's what they do. They tack that on.
Yeah,
and
they used to have a thing.
Brings more punishment.
Yeah, they used to have a thing called Project Exile, and what they would do is like if you're selling drugs on a street corner and you don't have a gun on you, that the crime normally carries a sentence of 2 years to 20 years, and so you could get anything in that range, and whatever you got, you got. All right. However, if you were selling drugs on the street corner and you had a firearm on you, it was a mandatory maximum sentence. Okay. Now, I have no issue with that. If you're committing a crime with a firearm, lock them up.
I thoroughly agree.
However, if you're not, and this goes for felons, this goes for, whoever, if you're not, you have the right to protect yourself, your home, your family, your property, and you should be able to do it.
That's right.
That's
You know, I always use Martha Stewart as an example. Martha Stewart, 70 some odd years old, cupcake baking woman, is a convicted felon. Are you really telling me that you're scared for Martha Stewart to have a gun in her house? That's really a problem, because she cheated in the stock market. Now all of a sudden she is at the mercy of every thief, rapist, and murderer in the world. She can't even protect herself in her own damn house. Now Martha's got the money to hire someone, if she's really afraid, that can have a gun, to move into her house with her for a while and protect her.
Most people don't.
But what about the average person who doesn't? That's my problem with all of this. But, you know, look, there's a lot of things in the law that are just stupid and need to get straightened up. For example, attempted murder. Why do you get less time for sucking at trying to kill somebody? You tried to kill somebody. Why don't you go to jail for the exact same amount of time as if you had succeeded? It has nothing to do with what. So if you're good at it and you actually kill them, well, no, okay, now you're going away for a long time. But if you just suck at it and you fail, you get less punishment. Explain to me what world that kind of bullshit makes any sense in.
You know, you know that it's still against the law in the state of Texas to carry a pair of wire cutters in your back pocket?
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, it's a law that's been on the books since the 1860s, because people would use it to cut razor wire, or, you know, whatever kind of wire fencing. They would use it to cut fencing to smuggle cattle.
I got one right here. It's not just wire cutters.
Yeah,
it's made for that.
Made it
it's
law.
A tool that's made for that. And it's not just wire cutters, but I've got one here someplace.
Talking about a fencing tool? Yeah.
Yeah, anything.
That's
how stupid some of the laws that we still have on the books today
are.
Well,
as if that law was going to stop the cattle rustler from carrying the damn pliers anyway. The cattle rustler was going to say to himself, wow, there's a whole herd of cows over there, and there's nobody within 100 miles of this place. And all I've got to do is go cut that fence, but damn the luck. The law says I can't have the tool, so I just can't steal the cow. Yeah. Does anybody really believe that it works that way?
Well, apparently our politicians do.
Our politicians are quite literally whores. They will say and do anything to get the money to get reelected.
Power and money.
It's all about that power. It's all about that power. Money is power. Money is power for them. And it's all about that power. Hello, Ruby. I see you there in the chat.
All right. Do we have anything else that we want to get out about Virginia?
No, not really. It's just that it's a damn shame I wasn't able to go. I almost feel guilty. There's a very good reason why I'm not there, and I'm going to announce that. I've got a question and answer video about the rally in Austin that's going to come out, and I'll explain that to everyone.
You're not going to make the Austin rally either?
No, I'm going to be in the Austin rally. I'm running the Austin rally. The reason we're having the Austin rally is because I can't go to Virginia. And there's a reason why I can't go to Virginia. No, I will be at the Austin rally.
I'll try to be there at the Austin rally. I can't go to Virginia.
Yeah, I know what's going on with you.
Right.
I don't think you have to explain that to anybody.
Well, I'm not one of the, there's some people that like to put pictures of what they're having for supper on the internet. I'm not one of those. I don't post my life online, but just like everybody else, I've got issues, and
just go ahead and say it. He's getting a penal enlargement. Okay, it's just
no, Dave. It's a reduction. It's a reduction. Come on now, keep it straight. It's a reduction. Oh God, I'm not even.
Too late. You already did.
Anyway, it's a long. Well, it's not really long and drawn out. It's just a lot of people are gonna ask questions. Y'all are gonna want to ask questions, and
we don't.
You just got some family matters.
We don't
going
need
on
to know. We don't need to know. Nobody needs to know.
Well, and to a certain extent, that's right. But if I'm asking people to follow my lead, I owe them an explanation as to. I've had a lot of people send me messages and emails, and some of the folks that have my number have actually called me since we announced the Austin rally and said, why aren't you going to Virginia? And, oh, by the way, where the hell have you been for about 6 months? And I'll answer all those questions. I don't really have anything else to say about Virginia except give them hell, boys, and do not back
If
down.
anybody's
If you
going to
back-
Virginia and you have a smartphone, but you don't have a YouTube channel and you want to go live, get in touch with me. I will put you live on my channel. All right? And you can get in touch with me at pnpnews@protonmail.com.
We have one of our members. I'm not going to say her name here, just in case, mainly because I haven't asked her permission. But she's up there. She just posted that she was. She just indicated not long ago that they had made it. Another one of our guys is up there, Greg, and I'm sure there'll be live videos all over the place. But the one thing I would say to those folks up in Virginia is very simply this: y'all are setting the tone for how things are going to go. If you back down now, the government will think that we're always going to back down. Don't do anything crazy. Look, you're the good guys, and the government is the bad guy. You behave like the good guy, and let the government behave like the bad guy. If you see any troublemakers and thugs amongst you, and there's liable to be some, we've had that happen before, handle them yourself. Don't give the gun haters any excuse at all to do anything.
Hey,
we know
Sarah
that
T.
the government will send in provocateurs.
Sarah T.
I'm quite certain.
Langley, that's protonmail.com.
Oh, they're putting Proton News.
I'm quite certain that that there's going to be some attempt to sabotage the whole shooting match. That's just what the government does.
Okay, let's not use that term. Shooting match is probably not the correct term to use.
But then again, Dave, it might be, because look, if it ever comes down to a fight between the gun haters and the real Americans, it's not going to be a fight. It's going to be an old-fashioned, behind the woodshed ass whooping. We are going to mop the damn floor from coast to coast with their asses. And that just needs to be said right out in the open so that they understand what they're really getting into.
I don't think they understand I don't know if they really understand what they're getting into if they provoke the American people again getting into a fight. I don't care if they have all these extra weapons that we don't have. They can't put somebody behind every tree with a gun, and we can.
Well, they have think tanks that actually have studied this already. They have studied what would happen in a civil war if there was another civil war, another revolution here within the states, and they know, they have a good guess at how many soldiers are going to desert. They have a good guess on how many citizens will actually fight versus how many will say they'll fight. I mean, they have think tanks that do nothing but study this. And the fact that the government feels the need to do that should tell you something.
Mm-hmm. That's
If
right.
only 10% of the people got pissed off enough to fight, they can't win.
You know where the term 3%er comes from?
Yeah.
During the revolution, at any one given time, there was no more than 3% of the population fighting the British.
Yeah.
And we whipped their ass.
Yeah.
A lot of people like to say, well, you could never beat the government in a war.
Well, look at Vietnam. Why did we lose? Because of the tactics. And the same tactics just go here. People know their area. They know where they can hide. They know where they can't hide. They know where they can get help. They know where it won't help.
That's right. But there's one big difference, and that is the military. What you have to understand is, from about the rank of lieutenant colonel or so up, those men, well, and really probably bird colonel up, a lot of those guys are going to follow orders. A lot of the upper echelon of the officers' ranks, they're going to follow orders because they are closer to the political power structure that's issuing the order.
And they're going to be behind a desk someplace safe.
Right. But from about field grade officer on down, as you get lower in rank, the percentage of those who are going to say, kiss my ass, begins to go up. And when you get down to E6s, E7s, E8s, most of those guys are going to say, look, you go to hell. Well, I'm not doing that. And the problem that the problem the government would have in trying to mobilize the military is that the vast majority of the people who would actually have to go out and carry out those orders will not do it. If there is a fight, it will be primarily between the people and law enforcement. It will not be between the people and the military.
Law enforcement would be damn stupid to do too much, because the local in the area that you're fighting, plenty of them know where you live. You won't be able to hide.
Well, but here's the problem with that. This is why, see, Homeland Security and the government knows that a good portion of the military won't fight. So what they're doing is they're cross-deputizing and arming local police officers and local sheriff's departments with their military equipment, their assault weapons. And I don't give me no shit about saying assault weapons. Okay, I already know. But you see what I'm saying? They are equipping them, and they are defending them. If they do something in the name of the government, then the government comes in and protects them from prosecution.
Look, just because there's a bunch of deputy do-rights in a Humvee or a Stryker, that's not really a problem.
No.
Predator drones, that could be a problem. Things that you can't reach out and touch back, that could be an issue. But the bottom line is there's only something like 1.1 million police officers nationwide. And frankly, I think that 30 or 40% of them will refuse to engage in that kind of activity. I think that there's going to be a chunk of them that either because they're genuine good guys or because they can do the math, decide, look, I'm not getting involved in that. I see which way this is going to go, and I'm going to come out on the winning side. So no, thank you. I think there's going to be a lot of that happen. So the end result is, I think we would wind up, if it came down to an absolute, a literal war, I think there'd be a maximum of about 600,000 people on their side. Well, that's the same number as the licensed hunters in the state of Wisconsin alone. The pro-gun people in this country, we're usually kind of quiet. Well, that's because we have lives and jobs and families and stuff. We're not Antifa. We don't have nothing going on but to go out and raise hell. So you don't hear a lot from us.
Well, that's generally the same thing throughout the United States. The American people are generally pretty quiet till you push them too far. And once you push them too far, like other countries have found out, it doesn't work out very well for you.
Well, and if you remember your mother or your grandmother telling you, it's the quiet ones you got to watch out.
Yeah, that's why I don't worry about the mouthy ones too much. Oh, God. We have people on the chats that will sit there and tell you how badass they are and that they're going to come screw you up and this, that, and the other. And it's like, God, you mean nothing. I don't care what you have to say. You're just a loudmouth. It's the ones that I don't hear about that I watch out for.
I had a guy, you remember the Sam Houston statue rally?
Yeah.
Yes.
I had a guy send me a PM on Facebook telling me he was going to come to my house and kill me and shoot it up and do all that shit.
Same thing here.
I responded to him and gave him the goddamn address. Never showed up. I'm really, I don't want to say I'm thoroughly unconcerned, because I'm not unconcerned. I don't want to fight other Americans. I don't want to be a revolutionary. I'm not looking to do that. But if it came down to it, I am more than 100% confident. I know which way that's going to go. We're going to kick their ass, and we're going to kick their ass bad.
Yep.
Well, I disagree with you. I think we're at that point.
Well, we could be. I
think we're getting close, but I don't think we're there yet. But we may find out tomorrow.
Tomorrow's going to tell a whole lot of the tale. Tomorrow, the gun haters are going to probably expose just how far they're willing to go. And I hope that the pro-gun people, the real Americans, also show just how far they're willing to go.
I bet that governor won't be any place near where the guns are. I bet he'll be hiding someplace.
No, that son of a bitch, he won't be in the Capitol. You can bet your ass on that. I hope that we're able to do it I hope we're able to do it without having to hurt anybody. I hope we're able to do it with no violence at all. I do not. I want to make something crystal clear, because a lot of times I say some rather inflammatory things.
Nah.
Surprise, surprise. I don't want any of it to come to pass. I'm not looking for an excuse. I'm not a troublemaker. I'm not a shit starter. I don't want it to happen. I'm simply trying to get the point across to the powers that be that if they push it to that point, I will not back down. There will be a fight, even if it's just me. It won't be just me, but even if it is just me, at least just me is going to be on their ass. So don't push it to that point. I think it was Frederick Douglass that said freedom is contained in 4 boxes. The soapbox, that's talking. The ballot box, that's voting. The jury box, that's lawsuits. And the cartridge box, that's the last resort. But it is on the list of resorts. So don't push it to number 4.
Yeah. Well,
Very simple.
I don't think we won't know if it's at that point until it actually happens. But I think I know what David's saying, and I know what I'm saying. But we really won't know till it happens if it's at that point.
I think you're right. I know that I've gotten mad enough to fight a few times over some things that have happened.
Mad enough to fight and fighting is 2 different things, though. I mean, there is a distinction. So you're at the point.
I didn't fight. Well, no, the reason I didn't fight is because I was not physically present. I got really mad at CJ's first video. That video in Almost Park, I can't promise you that if I were there, I would not have opened fire on those officers, because I might have, because they broke the law. They abused a citizen. There was a criminal there on that street corner.
Citizens.
Yes, 2, actually 2. There were criminals on that street corner in Almost Park, but it wasn't Jim and CJ. It was Rene Valenciano, and I forget the other little fat bastard's name, but the guys in uniform. Those were the criminals that day. And I can't say that I would have just stood there and watched.
Well, it pissed me off I was there. I was mad. If a gun would have gone off, I could have joined in, but I don't think I could have been the first one to pull the trigger. But it pissed me off when they got CJ and how they treated him. But when they threw Jim, he's on his knees with his hands behind his back, cuffed up.
He was cuffed.
And they physically pushed him hard, face first, into the pavement. That
was on the spot punishment. Now that's what it amounts to. And that's a telltale sign that will distinguish a real officer of the law from a cop, a bad cop, is how they treat a prisoner.
Well, that showed us twice.
Yes. Oh, yes. If you have an officer that's got someone in handcuffs, and the guy in cuffs has done something to make him mad, like running from him, refusing to just bow down and
not to kiss your butt.
If that officer, once he's got control of that person, stops hurting that person, that's a good officer. And if they don't, if they take some kind of revenge action, well, that's not an officer at all. That's a damn cop. And there's a difference. And all of the former officers that are members of Open Carry Texas, they know I got this from them.
Well, and have you seen Jack's video where he tried to get his property back, and Valenciano said, "No, go hire a lawyer. That's the only way you're getting it back."
Oh, David.
No.
Yeah, they are refusing to. Hello, Sandy. I hear Sandy in the background. They are refusing to give him his property back. They told him go get a lawyer.
Wait a minute. I
think it's time for another Almost Park rally, is what I think.
Well, it may very well be if that's what that fat little son of a bitch said.
Go Jack's channel. It's on Jack's channel.
So, okay, why was Jack there to pick his property up? What happened? I haven't seen.
They dropped all charges. All charges against Jack have been dropped in Leon Valley and Almost Park. He has no charges pending anymore. It's done.
From what went on in Leon Valley and the night him and Joanna were abused there in Almost Park. All of that's gone.
Yep.
So the charges have been dropped, and that goddamn son of a bitch won't give him his stuff back.
That's correct.
That is correct. He told him go get a lawyer if he
And
wants
he's
his
got his
stuff
little.
back.
You know
The
what?
video is on his channel. The video
You know
is
what?
on the channel. Mods, hey,
a
mods,
link, yeah.
post a link to Jack's video in the chat, please. The video's on his channel. Valenciano came out there and just straight told him, you're not getting your stuff. So Jack tried to talk to the city administrator, and Valenciano came out and said, you're not talking to nobody.
And who is he to tell the city employees that aren't police employees
He's
to
nobody.
tell them anything?
He's nobody. He works for the city administrator. Who is he to tell the city administrator anything?
Or the secretaries that are out there.
They're pissed off at Jack.
Yeah.
For those that don't know,
Oh, we got
all that
plans.
stuff that
We
happened
got
with
plans
CJ.
over there.
Okay, well, everything that happened in Almost Park with CJ and them started with Jack.
Okay. Rene Valenciano. I'm going to wait till CJ's finished his law degree because, well, frankly, I'd like to have a cheap lawyer for everything I'm going to do to your ass. But I'm saying publicly, you are going to see me, buddy.
Well, he's going to be visited sooner than that.
Well, frankly, before it's over with, I think that Rene Valenciano is going to be owned by CJ Grisham.
Yeah. How many millions of dollars is it going to cost that city before those people in that city say, we are not going to put up with it anymore?
Well, that's
Valenciano, the Fraternal Order of Police and the Texas Chiefs Association are backing Valenciano. The city's scared to fire him, and they're backing Valenciano because they know if they fire him, Valenciano knows if he gets fired there, he's done in law enforcement. No
And he's-
department is going to hire him.
He's
after
threatening to
this.
sue the city for
Wrongful termination.
yeah, for racist
Yeah.
I haven't talked to CJ in quite a while about the status of his lawsuit. If I remember right, it has been filed. I don't know where we're at with it. I don't know what's going on with it. But Rene Valenciano, you are not going to get away with this. You're going to be punished properly.
Yeah.
I think it's time for
Yeah.
another rally.
And he's
I
got
think
this
a
stupid
nice
flag
rally.
on his chest. Every one of them.
Yeah. You got the blue line.
This
gang
flag
signs
is
all
gonna
over
go
the
through
police
the-
cars on their uniforms.
The things I'm going to
Where
do
you
to this
see that
flag.
is- Anytime you see the blue line flag on a police officer, they're not good cops. It's that simple. They are not. I have never seen a good cop or dealt with a good cop that was wearing that. Not one single time.
Well, fellas, I have to watch my mouth when it comes to subjects like this because I'm liable to. I will not break the law and I will not physically harm the guy. But it's a damn good thing that we're not 200 years ago. And I mean every goddamn word of that. He is an un-American son of a bitch. He is a disgrace to every real law enforcement officer out there. And what he deserves is to have his ass whipped and thrown out into the street. And that's a fact.
And any police officer that supports
I'm
him.
not going to go do it.
Yeah.
Let me make that clear.
I think we need another rally. I think we need another rally in Almost Park. We go
I'll
down
be
there.
there.
And every citizen that comes out and talks to us, we show them the video where Valenciano is telling Jack that he's not going to give him back his property. I mean, he basically stole the property to start with. It's stolen property.
You're talking about all the stuff that they seized in that unconstitutional
Right.
raid.
Yeah.
I didn't know that Almost Park had that stuff. I thought that
Leon Valley has some of it. Almost Park has some more of it. They did confiscate one of Jack's guns, one of his long rifles.
Remember, Almost Park
And I
wasn't
think
the
I
raid
heard
on Jack's house. That was Leon
No,
Valley.
that was Leon Valley. But Almost Park had their
Yeah.
hand in it.
But they also have some of Jack's stuff.
Yeah.
from the arrest,
Yeah, from his arrest, sir.
from the night that him and Joanna were out there.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
He told me what all it was, but I don't remember exactly what it was. But
You know,
he'll have his open carry license back pretty soon, too, so he'll be back over there carrying, I'm sure.
good. And CJ would know this, but if I'm not mistaken, there is seems like I remember something in Texas state law, whether it's in the penal code or the government code or whatever, that basically instructs governments under these sorts of circumstances that they will give the property back. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it lays out a damn timeline.
Well, the problem with that is you've got to have a prosecutor that will prosecute.
Yep.
In San Antonio and Bexar County, the prosecutor there is just as crooked as the
Yeah,
cop.
Valenciano's already threatened to conjure up some more evidence against Jack and try to bring the charges back. That's not going to work. Because there is no evidence.
You ignorant fat bastard, put the shovel down. The hole is only getting deeper.
And that's exactly it. The hole getting deeper. He's going to cost everything he does is going to cost that city more and more, and he's going to go down the tubes with it.
But that's just it. He doesn't care. It's not costing
That's
him
right.
a penny.
The truth of the matter is he probably knows that in the end he's going to lose and be ruined, and so he's trying to do as much damage, inflict as much inconvenience, etc., as he can before he ultimately loses. That's probably it.
David is dealing with some of that right
no-
now with a certain supposed lawyer kind of person.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. No.
All right, we're off. We're off.
Don't
topic.
get me started on that.
We're done with our talk about
That person?
Virginia. Yeah, let's leave this alone. I do think that another rally out there would be a good thing.
Yep.
And basically just run the crooked cops out of town again. That's what they need. That's what they need.
Well, the first order of business is Open Carry Texas we got to get cranked back up again.
Patty, he still has it.
I'm not
I would tell him, Patty, he still has it.
Oh, okay. I'm not opposed to having a rally in Almost Park at all. But before we do that, we need to get at least the spring rally out of the way, because that's something that I've already got a lot of the planning done, and right after this Austin rally on the 25th, we're going to announce the spring rally and the fall rally. We have to build our political power back up, because to tell you the truth, we were basically, well, I don't want to say ineffective. I'll say it this way. Rick Briscoe did his dead level best, which he always does. And he was frankly more effective than I thought he was going to be able to be. That's our legislative director, Rick Briscoe. But he basically had nothing to work with. I've got to get him something to work with. I've got to get him some political leverage. I mean, he was essentially at the Capitol lobbying people on his own. I mean,
yeah, I've met Rick Briscoe.
And
he's all right for an old white guy.
yeah, I tell you what, Rick's a good old boy. And the truth is, the fault for the position we're in is entirely mine. That rests right here on my shoulders, and I'm going to get it fixed, and we're going to get it squared away, and we're going to get Open Carry Texas back and up and running and better than ever, so that we can get into Austin and make some of these changes, so that we can get constitutional carry, so that we can get some sort of a law that says, okay, if you ban guns from your business, you can do that, but then you are responsible for protecting people if you won't allow them to protect themselves. And other really good and important pro-gun laws. We're going to get these things passed, and the first step to doing that is to rebuild the organization and get it back to where it has some political strength. Once upon a time, politicians listened to us. They didn't really listen to us this past session because we didn't have any muscle. We're going to build some muscle. After that, we'll start taking on some stuff.
Get the big guns out.
That's it. We got to build our guns back up.
All right, one more time. When is the rally?
It is this coming Saturday, January the 25th, at Wooldridge Park. Wooldridge, Wooldridge Park in Austin. It's about 2 blocks south and 2 blocks west of the Capitol.
And tomorrow starts to Virginia, and
it's from 1 to 3, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m.
And tomorrow starts in Virginia. Where are they getting together at? The Capitol?
Steve, the truth is, I don't know exactly what the Virginia Citizens Defense League. That's sort of the
spearhead.
That's the big. They're the ones spearheading this, and I'm not really entirely familiar with what their plans are. But frankly, there's probably, Lord knows how many people are going to show up there. I'd say it's going to be a minimum of 10,000. It might be 50 or 60,000. So
yeah,
for the most part, I think most of the plans are going to wind up pretty much going out the window, and they're going to have to do things on the fly. Now, they're gun people, which means they're responsible, decent, and smart. So they'll get it done. I'm thoroughly unconcerned about that sort of thing. But where it's going to start and how it's going to go down and et cetera, all of that, I'm just not. I don't want to make a prediction because, frankly, I don't know.
I don't know. I can't tell either.
They were gonna do what we like to do and get on the steps of the Capitol and have everybody out there in front of the steps of the Capitol and use the steps of the Capitol sort of as a stage and have their rally and have their rah-rah session and all their speakers, and then go in and lobby the politicians. Well, the governor and his bullshit executive order, his emergency declaration, that really threw a monkey wrench into their plans. Now they can still go into the steps of the Capitol, but they have to be completely unarmed. And there's a fence around the whole damn thing with one way in and only 2 or 3 ways out. And that fence is really going to screw things up. I don't know how they're going to do it. I just know that one way or another, they will get it done. So watch the news, if you can find an honest news station, watch that. Watch live feeds from people you know. The truth will get out there. Just you're gonna have to go look.
Yeah, there's several YouTube channels that are really on top of all this, but I'm sorry to say I don't have their names right now because I just been finding them off and on.
High Impact is out there, and he'll be live streaming.
Okay.
Is Guns and Gadgets going to be there?
I believe Guns and Gadgets is going as well.
Okay, those are both good ones. Iraq veteran might be out there. There's going to be plenty of coverage. Of course, the mainstream media is going to do their liberal hack job, their gun hater propaganda bullshit that they always do. So I wouldn't watch CNN because all that's going to be is a picture of that son of a bitch Northam with a halo over his head. That's all that they're going to show about that. They're going to show everything good on the gun hater side and anything that goes bad on the pro gun side. That's all they'll show. So don't watch the propaganda machines. Find an honest source and
yeah, CNN's there. Don't bet on anything being honest about what they do.
Yeah, and definitely do not watch the live stream from David Hogg. I don't think you'll get any kind of good, useful information there.
So, back when they came to Houston, we CJ and I went over and talked to those kids.
I was there.
Actually, yeah, you were there. They actually came over to where we were.
Yeah, and the police came and ran them off, or not police, their handler.
No, there was a reason for that. And if I'd known about it, I could have stopped it at the time because we were actually having a fairly productive conversation. But Hogg, Cameron Caskey, and 1 or 2 others agreed to sit down and do a debate with me, and I tried contacting them and nothing. But frankly, I shouldn't be surprised by that. If you notice, the gun haters never want to sit down and debate the subject because their entire position is based on fear and the bullshit lies that support it. That's it. So they can't sit down and have an honest discussion based on the facts, because if they do, their whole position just evaporates.
Right.
And so they're never going to do it. They're never going to do it. Now, I've got a little surprise for them that I call the debate series that I'll be putting out here pretty soon, and I'll shoot you guys links to it. Y'all can mirror it on your channels. If they won't debate me, then fine. I'll just take the videos of them making their bullshit statements and I'll debate their videos, and I'm going to tear them up. I'm going to absolutely demolish their arguments. We're going to start pretty soon. And the first video is going to be that damn disgusting gun hater palooza that CNN called a town hall meeting down in South Florida right after the shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. I have the video of that whole thing, and I'm gonna cut that up into sections, and I'm gonna play a section of it, and then I'm gonna destroy the bullshit that they tried to promote, and then play another section, and then hit them again. And if they won't get on a stage and debate me, if they won't If they won't show up so I can kick their ass in person, I'll kick their ass in absentia.
Okay. We're about 2 hours in. Are we about done here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we are.
I didn't realize that.
All right.
Yeah, we know. We know.
Well, fellas, I appreciate it. And by the way, I'm going to have another couple of videos and information videos, et cetera, about this rally coming up. Would y'all be willing to mirror those on y'all's channels?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'll give y'all a shout when I get those out. Probably one coming out tomorrow, Tuesday at the latest, and then there'll be another one a little bit later on in the
All right.
week.
And when we go off here, David, don't leave. Both of you don't leave yet.
Okay.
All right, everybody. This is P&P News. We're here with David Ahmad from Open Carry, Texas, and the famous Godfather. Infamous. Okay. David from News Now Houston. And I thank my mods and thank everybody else for being here. We've been on about 2 hours. I think we've done enough. And hopefully we will do this again sometime soon. And I thank everybody. Have a good night, have a good weekend, and be careful getting to work tomorrow.